can speak longer because the discussion is cut from the program, so we have 45 minutes more. I try to be quick. Of course, my presentation is also a little bit of a promotion of my organization. That's what we heard from previous speakers, branding and that kind of stuff, how important it is. But before I start, I have a request, because I always have to justify my travel. Why I'm going to somewhere. Now you pay for my travel, at least partially, because I will get some reimbursement from whoever, I don't know, some Finnish organization. But I still need to justify my presence here for the board of the foundation, for my wife, and so on and so on. So I'd like to ask you to raise your hand, all of you, and then I take a picture, so I can pretend that my presentation was so interesting, so many so first part, I will glance through it very quickly. That's a promotion. How did you say, commercial of the organization? What is PEMPARKS? PEMPARKS is the foundation. It works to protect Europe's wilderness, the continent most undisturbed areas of nature. So basically, we focus on Europe, we focus on wilderness areas, and we define wilderness very strictly. Actually, no hunting, no logging, no grazing with domestic animal, and so on and so on. So that's the technical definition. We tend to believe that we are the only organization that works on a European scale on this issue. There are many more who works on a country or regional scale, but we say that we are the only European-wide organization to do this kind of work. This is the network which we have. So what we do is we are linking the wilderness areas in Europe to create a European wilderness preservation system, somehow to resonate what they set up in the US in, I don't know, almost in 50 years now, since the US Wilderness Act that was approved or adopted in 1964. For your information, our dream is that in Europe, at least 5% of the land should be managed according to wilderness principles. And this 5% comes with a moral argument, because if you check the database of the European Environmental Agency, you can see that in Europe we managed to cover with artificial surface like this, and the road outside, and industry and whatever, already 5% of the land. And if we are not able to compensate this complete artificial surface of 5%, with 5% of nature in its purest form, then we are complete failure, I think. So that's, and just to illustrate, this 5% would mean that we protect the size of Spain. So we can get rid of the financial crisis problem, because all the Spanish will be sent out, and then Spain is going to be a perfect wilderness. Why I was coming here, or I was asked to come here actually, is because basically PEMPARKS is a conservation organization. I have nothing to do with tourism. But what we try to do is we try to use tourism as a tool to mobilize support, funding, whatever knowledge for conservation of, strengthening the conservation of wilderness in Europe. More information is on our website, on PEMPARKS.org. So, and on PEMPARKS.org you can give donation, of course. You can sign up to our e-newsletter. So if you like our work, you can support us in different ways. What the concept is, and now I'm going to talk about more also the tourist part. I told you that the wilderness definition which we use is very strict. Actually, formally in Finland, it would be quite hard to find such a wilderness area. We work in Finland with Archipelago and with Åland-Kapanejärvi, who just gave a certificate to Sari for the first transboundary verification of PEMPARK. The celebration was yesterday, so Åland and Kapanejärvi are now recognized as a transboundary park together, transboundary PEMPARK together. Basically, if the park would like to join us as a certified PEMPARK, they have to meet with the size criteria of at least 10,000 hectares of wilderness in a relatively or purest nature state as possible. And as I said, no hunting, no logging, no grazing with domestic animals, no fishing, no mining. But visitors are somewhat welcome in a controlled way. Why we welcome visitors? Because we think that with showcasing some of the largest areas, we can change the current knowledge on protected areas in Europe. And then I try to be again interactive a little bit. If I ask now only the Finnish participants, Hungarians can also go. Who has never heard about the Great Barrier Reefs National Park? How many of you? So basically everyone heard about the Great Barrier Reefs National Park. Everyone. That's good. And then I can ask now the Australian people here. Have you ever heard of Sariston Meri? Sariston Meri. Look, that's the problem. And it's not your fault, it's the fault of us, of Europeans, that we cannot make our national parks, the archipelago national park, for instance, or Aktelek in Hungary, or I don't know, Bieszczady or Paneai, whatever. They are not really known. We are not proud of this nature, what we have. But we all know Serengeti, we all know Yellowstone, Great Barrier Reef, Grand Canyon, and so on and so on. That's the basic problem, I think. And with tourism, we believe we can change this, or at least partially can use tourism as a tool to change that. What we also do, we also, of course, work with the national park management bodies like SARI and MATTI and the other MATTI and third MATTI and lots of Karis and Yaris as well. But again, you know, another problem is always the names, faces to remember. I remember the face of Cristiano Ronaldo, but sometimes I forget faces of national park managers, and probably it's the same with you. Everyone knows Alex Ferguson, no one knows really Kari Lahti. So that's a part of another problem. So we work with them to help them to increase the management effectiveness of the area through third-party management audit. And once a park joins us, we join the network, we ask them to get local business partners, like Keijo, who is going to speak after me, and then we are trying to promote these partners actively as sustainable tourism partners, and we raise awareness and create a positive perception of wilderness through the partners. We are using the brands all around, you know, like Climb Parks, and Keijo is also actually quite good, you will see, wearing our brand. Tourism. So we use tourism to promote actually basically sustainable tourist practices. We certify local business partner, and we started the tourism model about 3 years ago. And so sustainable tourist development, basically we use the park as a center or a magnet to create more tourism on a sustainable way, stimulating local cooperation, that we are forcing the managers somehow to work with local businesses to set up a local certification scheme for local businesses. Here in Finland it was relatively easy because Metsähallitus already had a cooperation group, so we had a basis. But you know, like in Bulgaria, Romania, this was actually quite new. And at the end, we hope that this will lead to increasing the quality of the tourist product, the standard of the local businesses, and you also have to understand that the standard that we use for local businesses is actually different in Bulgaria and then in Finland currently. Hopefully in the long term we can have the same standard, but currently we had to face with realities that some local businesses in Romania doesn't have that much resources to improve wastewater management or whatever, or how they get the energy into their companies. The second, we signed a partnership agreement then with local businesses, also with incoming operators, and then currently we have over 80 partners in the different areas. Actually now I think it's over 100 partners. On our website there is a special section called penpals.org/visit, where people can actually look into the site, get information about the protected areas and also about the partners. We are not a booking agency, so booking is not possible through our website, but we always provide a link, the direct link to the website of the local businesses, so they can hopefully generate a little bit more income through incoming operators, or individual tourists. And then the second or third part we started this tourism model where we basically play a bit of a broker between the destinations and the local businesses in the destinations, the incoming operators, and then international tour operators. So we have a few international tour operators who said, yes, we are willing to promote your packages in our market. We have a German, Dutch, and basically UK companies currently, but we try to expand. The only problem is, and I will speak about this in the third part of my presentation, that this kind of marketing and promotion requires quite a lot of energy, and we don't really have currently the resources for it due to the how do you call it, NGO sector is hit quite well by the financial crisis, you know, donations decrease and so on and so. So basically what we do, local businesses, incoming operator creates packages, and then we put them through to incoming operator, and then they promote the packages to the different areas. That's a list of the international tour operators that we have in contact. The third part, tourism and wilderness, and that's the core part. I don't know how much time I still have. 10 minutes? 10. Try to focus on this. And now I'd like to highlight that I'm not talking really as an expert. I didn't study tourism. I'm a tourist myself. And how I travel, I never booked to a travel agency. I did once. We went to Tunisia with the family, and that was the last in our life that we took a package tour. We try to travel individually, which is probably bad news for most of the local businesses, but yeah, we are following the tendencies, as you said, earlier. The definition, I searched on the internet, and I found this on Wikipedia. Again, as I said, I'm not an expert. Wilderness tourism and related activities are based on wilderness landscape, and so on and so on. You can read the definition. I am not going to repeat it. I put this here, wilderness tourism and wildlife tourism, because Tita asked me in advance of the seminar, Zoltan, you should talk about this a little bit. I think there are two basic differences between wilderness tourism and wildlife tourism, and one major thing is that when you are in a wilderness area, which is normally a protected area, there is no guarantee at all that you see anyone. At all, nothing. And believe me, I travel quite a lot in different parts of Europe, not in the world, but in Europe, and I hardly see any animal in the wild. I'm not really interested in seeing them anyway. I'm really interested in landscapes, and see a waste landscape. I'm not a bird watcher, I'm not interested in orchids or whatever, so I'm this kind of tourist. But anyway, inside the national parks, I think there is no guarantee that you see anything. And in the wildlife tourism, as we saw yesterday with Lassie's place, the likeliness is higher. Of course, he was really smart saying that there is no guarantee to see any bird, but at the end he managed to get them there 3 bears and I don't know 2 white-tailed eagles and so on. So we saw actually quite a lot, and that's, I think, a major difference: the likeliness of seeing wildlife. And in a wilderness area, I think you shouldn't modify the behavior of animal. No way. Because that's not why the tourists are going there. And in wildlife tourism, sometimes it requires to modify the animal behavior. Like yesterday, I think, in a way, with the carcasses, you modify a little bit the behavior of the animal. I think in Europe we have, in general, this big 5 dilemma. I don't know what happened. Okay, I have big 5 dilemma. I don't know why is this here. Where is it? Sorry. So the big 5 dilemma. I hope now we stay here. The big 5 dilemma. No, it's in my view that in Europe you cannot really guarantee at all that you see the big animals, and that's why there is a big contrast between Africa and Europe in terms of wilderness tourism and wildlife tourism. And I really like what David said earlier, the 12 small of Australia. I think that's brilliant, and you have to find this kind of marketing terms in a way. And again, here with the Big 5 challenge, I would also like to highlight that inside the national parks, I don't think we really have to guarantee, we don't have to modify the animal behavior. And what I say that there is a need for better interpretation of wildlife inside the national parks for tourists. You have to manage the expectation of tourists there. If there is no hunting, it can lead to actually changing the animal behavior, and then there is a bigger, higher likeliness that you see animal. And here I'd like to use the example of Asia, where hunting is not possible since 100 years now. And I was there, you walk in and you see wildlife, you see red deer, you see wild boar. Of course, I didn't see wolf or bison, although they showed us bison, but in a different way, not feeding. But maybe that could be also an interesting example. They put radio collar, it was a research program, and then they said, okay, the bison is there, let's go there, maybe we will see. And that's a little bit different kind of work. There is no hunting in Asia, and outside the national park, they are shy. Inside the national park where there is no hunting, they go on the road, they don't mind if you see them. Of course, sooner or later they escape. But this no hunting principle changed their behavior back to the kind of original one, that they are not that shy anymore any longer. So, as I said, no feeding. I really believe that the entrepreneurs really have to work very closely together with the national park management. What are the rules? What are the code of conduct? You have to accept the rules anyway. The examples I'd like to use is places which I visited, the Tatra, for instance, where chamois, it's relatively easy to see. The chamois as a species is anyway relatively easy to see. I was in the Tatra 2 weeks ago with my family, and then I took a photo of chamois. It was kind of easy. Over time, then they modify the behavior of marmots. They actually come to you and they ask you to feed them. And that's a bit weird thing inside the national park. Dunodráva, Hungary, red deer. Hungary is anyway, it's a very interesting example, because if you would like to see wildlife in Hungary, red deer, for instance, or roe deer, the best way is to do it to drive on a highway and look out, and sure, you will see them on the agriculture field. But inside the national park, no way, because there is hunting. And in the agriculture field, they can recognize the hunters quite quickly, and they are not in the field of cars any longer. There are quite a lot of collisions in Hungary, road collisions anyway. And then the bison I already used. One other thing, if you would like to develop your tourism, I think the one brand for wilderness is really needed. At least for pen parks, we really need this kind of brand. And earlier there was a kind of question whether we are competing locally, globally, or whatever. We try to promote the wilderness areas across Europe. So we use Europe as a continent, and we are promoting all the different wilderness areas. And we hope that if someone visited Holland Park, maybe next time they will go to Rekezát, they will go to Majala or whatever, because they know that there is a nice experience. Authenticity, I agree with the previous speaker. And I don't know, I was discussing with Keijo earlier whether we should franchise best practice of local businesses. I mean, if you have a good practice here, maybe you can start setting up a franchise system in different other countries. And I said, that's a picture I wanted to show. It's all about education. It's me and one of my sons, and that's the other one. Managing expectations. This is stupid.
Something's happening. You're right.
I will show it like that. Sorry. So I think tourism is all about education, and you know, I'd like to educate my kids. That's where it starts. You said who was your hero, and Rodi. You know, my hero is my father and my mother. They educated me, and I hope that that will be the same with the other kids. I have 4 of them, and we always go together, more or less. Not with the old one now, 20 years old. He's not really interested any longer in us, but more the girls. And then, you know, managing expectation, understanding the motives. I think that's pretty important. This is my other son. We were hiking in the Tatra, and you see, he was really pissed off. He wanted to play, I don't know, Call of Duty, I think. And I said, no, you have to hike. Well, how long? You have to hike to the next stream. Okay. And then, is this the next stream? No, the next one. And you know, I was always forcing him to go a little bit further, and you see, no, he was really pissed off. Until we give him a binocular, And then he started to laugh. And why he started to laugh is actually sort of simple. I hope that now I will be quicker than the computer. Because we saw this one, this animal, the marmot. And this was actually wild. And they were playing with each other. And we were there for 25 minutes. And then he was kind of amazed. And he said, now it was both coming up. Why didn't you say? Because I didn't know they would be there. So we took this video with this kind of shitty little camera. It's a competition always for professional photographers, but you see it's actually quite nice quality. I mean, it wouldn't hit the BBC, of course, but still. And they were playing there 25 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole movie, of course. But that was a nice experience, and then he changed. And then the other thing. Okay, nice one. How you have to understand the motive, and that was me and my brother on the top of the hill, and we were actually our motive was very simple. We wanted to beat the younger ones. We wanted to be the first on the peak and do the whole run 20 minutes earlier than the others. That was our motive, and that we were kind of proud in this sense. So, but that's the kind of personal experience. How tourism entrepreneurs can help? They can help to demystify wilderness in Europe, because lots of people are afraid of wolf. You know, the little Red Riding Hood, and all the other stories. So bears, it's also a field animal. We have to show images and we have to use images, and therefore we have to cooperate quite a lot with professional photographers. I think that's pretty important. And yeah. Prepare a newsletter, send them news or whatever to the people. Use different kind of media. Branding, important. I have only 1 minute. I try to skip this. Through our brand and through the tourism model, the tourists can also understand what's good for wilderness, and then they feel, because after each booking we got 20 or 30 euro, so they also contribute a little bit to nature conservation with their travel. So they're not just enjoying, but they also know that they have nature conservation. Engagement is pretty important, and we send some of the tourists, we send a kind of certificate that you visited an area, with your 20 euro donation you help us to protect 20 hectares. I mean, it's very simple, but you have to follow up the traveler. You have to send something to them, and maybe they can, again, they will go next time to another area which belongs to Penpal. And I believe in the social media, especially because we don't really have funding for big marketing, so we use social media as much as possible. So my current experience is summarized in one thing: there is a need for proper destination management. If you don't manage your destination well, if you're not cooperating with the park, with the local businesses, then you are gone. That's my experience. Summary, and by the way, the presentation is anyway available on the internet, so I will show you where later on, using social media again, and a slide share you can download my presentation. Pricing has already been mentioned, so I mean, I don't want to repeat all the other things that earlier other speakers said, but you have to be realistic with the pricing. There was one bad example in Poland when a guy whom we worked earlier said, okay, nah, with Penpal, I will get lots of tourists, so I increased my prices. He doubled it. He failed, and then at the end his company went bankrupt actually. But then there is a big dilemma, I think, in Europe, why people should travel so far. I mean, why I, as a Hungarian, should come to Holland to do this rafting, if there is rafting also in Triglav National Park. So I think for a destination, especially for wilderness, they really have to highlight the specialty, what makes the area special. Because you can do rafting in other places, you can do mountain biking, hiking, lots of places. These activities are available. Case study, Holland. We worked with Basecamp over 4 years. We raised they raised. So Keijo and his group raised 23,000 euro, which we spent on 4 different projects so far. And then Basecamp at the end became a member of our wilderness club, and then they paid a fixed amount now, 10,000 euro, if I may say that. to support our work. So it's actually a fantastic thing that tourists can have supporting projects, conservation projects.
Is this sum of money per person?
Ask him. And then there was the last thing we did this Saturday, this memorable experience which we never see again. But I did this rafting in Åland, and I think the kind of memorable experience is again important, and I try to be again quicker than the bloody computer. What I do remember, this is fantastic. When the boat is coming down, 4 people in, they already died. No, actually it was empty because we were taking the rope one, throwing the boat. But then again we were watching it for 1 minute and it couldn't come out from the water. For that I will remember. It's actually available here on the slideshare, so you can download it. If you search it, my name is Zoltan kun Keijo, or you search for wilderness Europe, you will find it. Thank you, Kiitos. It's still there.
Ja nyt siirrytään tosiaankin näistä kuohuvista kuvista siihen itse tuottajaan.
I don't know when they can ask questions. After this presentation?
Okay. For you.
The last thing I wanted to show you, it's not a chip on the show, but that was about branding. And I hope that wildlife tourism is not about this. I don't know whether I can read it. I love animals, they are delicious.
Okay, thank you so much. Ja otetaan kysymykset yhdessä, kun me ollaan myös käyty Oulannin läpi. Hyvä.
Kiitos, thanks. I'm going to speak in English. Oh, Matti Tapaninen is here. Always take a prayer position because he's the man behind Base Camp Åland. First, I would like to thank all that I have the chance to be here, and I'd love to give a big hand to Lassi and the Wild Tiger, all those things that you have here. Let's go forward. I'm really jealous the nice things that you have here compared to those humble things that we have in Åland. AB is still out of fair. We went old-fashioned snowmobiles, ATVs and everything. Now we have a love affair with the nature, and that's very important. It will be also, it will be in the future something like this, with the skiing center. Not my photo, somewhere from the Central Europe. But anyway, this is the contrast between our office now and maybe the office earlier. Yeah, and we made the change 2005 and sold all the snowmobiles and ATVs. We started from zero, almost from zero. With a thing. Actually, before that, already 98, we have been looking for the opposite to a skiing center. Now we're going to go through code of conduct, because we have that. I don't know how many of you have been writing your code of conduct, but we must have it. And it's a long list of things how you manage your company. Here you can see our camp and the position from 2004. Russia is there. That's River Kitka, and it's totally wilderness. Paneri is also up there. The logs are from Posio, 40 kilometers away. Heating system, pellets. no limited amount of transfer, everything. We have heard, Kati, there are some videos. May I show one video? Is it possible that I can find it here somehow? So what sustainability means? Yeah, sustainability means don't buy. Simple as that. Don't buy. And when Exodus is our tour operator, London, and of course Francis. So when customers come to us, they have a small bag in the cabin, airplane, and we give them everything. We provide them everything. Why? Because they come from Australia, for example, New Zealand, South Africa. They never seen snow. Why to purchase with 2,000 euros something that we can give them? This is David Sutton, WWF London. Really nice guy. And it's, as you can see, such amount of equipment, and it's only that way possible to come and survive with minus 35 degrees. Is it somewhere here? No, that was not right. So that was the first decision to make. No overalls like with the snowmobiles. Get the real thing that you can use with activities. You're gonna see more videos after. Yeah, and I'm gonna mess the whole machine. So to plan, to design, and get the equipment, and put it on everybody. But at the same time, we also made the decision that we want to bring out the heritage on that place. Actually, Kallela, walking to Paanjärvi. Also to design our own tableware and put it out. You can't buy it anywhere else. This is ours. And made in Finland, very expensive, hand production, handmade. And it means that when we are locally there, so we have everything local. For example, food, it will be there sometime. We don't eat written, no pork, no pig. Because it's unsustainable to produce that kind of things. It takes 10 kilo to get 1 kilo beef. I mean 10 kilo wheat. And it's really stupid. It's really stupid. Don't do it. That's why we eat only game, elk meat, and a bit chicken, but mostly vegetarian. This is from the old mill. This is our kingdom, as last showed us last evening the photo from our kingdom. These places do not exist without certifications in the box. Because we are operating internationally with fun parks, and we need system how we can put out a nice profile out of us. Marketing, we don't have individuals winter time. We have tour operators taking care of the marketing. We have done it in the opposite way, as normally nowadays people do it. Running all the time. Oh, this is the same photo. When you make a package, people are staying here 4 or 5 days, 1 week. Every transfer cuts the whole thing. You have to start from zero again. So we are skiing, going with snowshoes, minimizing all those minibus trips. That was the second thing, because we were locating a skiing center every time when we have to go somewhere, except it was no bus, so we have to take a bus. And that's normally in the cities, when you talk about city guides. You take a day trip, you go 4 hours, like in Bulgaria, 4 hours there in the bus, you stay there 3 hours and you return 4 hours. Now, we are located on the corner, in a corner of this national park. When our guests step out, so they are in the national park. What was happening in 2006 when we have been running the thing a bit with the sustainable items? All those guys that were working with snowmobiles, we have to kick up. And we had our own education system, 9 months, educate our own guys. Why? It's easy to take 30 snowmobiles out there with the helmet on. There's some kind of noise, 100 decibel. There's no contact with the customer. Now they are out there with skis or snowshoes or whatever, and the customers are there, standing there, and they have to get them flat in. Training, a lot of training all the time, and networking with the guides, fun parks, metsähallitus, all the time networking. Because we have learned during these years, when making all the possible mistakes, that we can't do anything alone. In order to get something running, we need a system how to control everything, to make a plan how it works. And we are using subcontractors locally, and of course we are mostly more than 10 all the time now. So there always need some kind of human resource management also. There are a lot of videos and films done with us. This is how do you produce with ZDF from Germany. It's a television company in Germany, they say. They were 1 week with us shooting, and you can see they had fun, really fun. When this is from the old middle coast. BBC has been shooting there, National Geographic has been shooting there, staying with us. And why? Because we are only 25 minutes away from the Jura waterfall. 25-minute walk to Jura waterfall. Everything is easy, the service and everything is easy. It's so close. I remember when we went there, midsummer 2001, by boat, because there was no road. We made road 1.5k first, the city down to 20. So my mother was there. We went with the Land Rover that time, 2001, and she had been 40 years earlier seeing the Jura waterfall. And she said, never done this without the road. And in the first place, many people said, we don't make the road, but now we get... Katri, can we have another video going? The one on the other with the rafting. This is different rafting. Our products are totally made for women, from 30 to 45. In the old days, they were just for men, äijä kulttuuri. I would like to show you this video because this is very special. Easy to make. You can anytime order these guys to make the video. Very cheap. It's a very small thing. And the camera is there. This is Alkrapit, festival number 4. And we call it Extreme. But about 4 weeks ago we had 2 ladies from Helsinki at the age of 70s. They wanted to do something special once in a lifetime. They were doing this. And as you can see here, this is totally wilderness. It is wilderness, although there are about 17,000 people walking here to the Jura waterfall. On the left side there is a restricted area and Castle Rocks, very special, only 250 people go there annually. And as you can see, it's all over there. This one only because this is something that you could put money, maybe 2,000 euro, 3,000 euro. And you get this kind of material for marketing, because visibility is the thing that is needed. So we take the next one. Thank you. As you notice, I need the secretary also. I was talking about So, yes, thank you. Without these papers, it's impossible to get the names through. This is Wester's paper. It was first time given. Base camp in alphabetic order, it becomes the first. So in Berlin, ITB, I was there the first. Nothing to say. I didn't know what to say. It was, you know, feeling so small, and all the professionals are there. We have been talking about the guides. No mountain, no sea. No longer there's nothing. Our competitors are Inca Trail, Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest Base Camp. All over there. New Zealand. All over. On the brochure where we are, there are all the possible trips that you can ever imagine. I'm studying the brochure. I would like to go there. I would like to go there. 35 people give out their opinion. Holiday values and fall. 2009 we got third. 2010 we got first. 2011 we got second. And there are more than 130 really good testimonials. This is because of the guides. Because we don't have anything else but the guides. Of course we have the local food and such things and nice snow. And we have wildlife. When the people are eating their breakfast, there are 20 black grouse sitting on the pine trees and it's 8 meters away. This is the road to us. And this is normal. They are there, black grouse. Very normal. Up there? Yeah. Going all the time around. We call it everyday wildlife. We don't do it. This is just normal snowshoeing. Nothing special. When Zoltan says that there is no wildlife in national park, it's not true. It's different kind of wildlife. Very different. It's a bird. No, a flower. This is typical for all national parks. And why this is possible? For example, summertime. I remember the time we were using 2-stroke engines when doing the flat water, river rafting, and you can understand the noise and the smell and can't do anything. Then we went to 4-stroke engines. Now we are using electric outboard engines. People can shoot videos and we can have discussions and everything like that. Now this is a project we have had since 2006 and this is 2009. As you can see, it was not real midsummer. And there's a bus from Metsähallitus, I think Stiilaitinen, and we are studying the area for volunteering. And it looks really awful next spring. This is a place where they have been in the 50s. Matti remembers well these places, because all we have done is because of Matti Tapaninen. And they have been there since 50s, and now our job is to bring it back, you know. These people are cutting trees in National Park. And we have the commission. 7 city bankers from London. The only condition they did good to come to Helsinki for negotiating the loans was that they have to do voluntary work in National Park. And there was one place in Finland where to make it. They were also in smoke zone and they were really proud of it. And of course, there are animals all the time studying what we are doing. This ermine. Why? Why do ermine have to be careful? Because we have to maintain some habitats. Let's not kill all the Metsähallitus people. Volunteering is one of those. Maybe you recognize some of those. Even Kerttu might recognize. So when we are doing volunteering, it means that there will be different kind of insects, butterflies, all kind of what will be there. This is one of those things that we want to get. Samuel Stillman is there in the middle. And this is one of those things that we want to go forward also. When working there, having fun together, But that's it. That's the end. And of course, the Wilderness Club. That's important. Really important. One video more, Katja. One of the last. It's very short. Very short. But it's nice. So it's not only that we have the product here, but we have to make a package. All of that, and that's what is really nice to listen to Francis, because it is important to have a package. This is our everyday life. This is white roti tipper. Normal camera. It's not the big thing that normal snow shooting trip to casserole. 7 people up here on the riverbank. We were diving on ice. This is the main. And it's really cold. It's freezing cold. Thanks a lot. Finska Poland Kalvojen National Park. That was it. I must show you one thing before I go. Thanks. So in order to get something really through, like you have wildfire, yeah. So fun park is one of those things that have to get through somehow, and that's why there's a plan 1 meter project. Because in Europe we need these wilderness areas, as Zoltan said, and when we go ahead with these kinds of, together with these kind of projects, then we can really get something ready. Otherwise, no. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Hei. Ja kysymyksiä Zoltanille ja Keijolle. Se oli kyllä, että Zoltanilla oli kaikki ne kädet ylös siinä alussa. Nyt muistakaa ne kysymykset, mitä teillä oli. Yes, please.
Yep, Velpa, welcome once more from US. Is there anyone from Metsähallitus also here for help? Is there any, maybe, question is for you, but maybe you can answer also. There is this what is this?
Luontopalvelut.
No, the luonnonsuojelualueiden toimintatap, hyvät käytäntötapat luonnonsuojeluun. Niin, just se, mikä sen nimi on. What is it?
Tarkoitatko kestävän luontomatkailun periaatteet?
Just, do you have a cooperation between Palm Park and the Metsähallitus, the basic principles of sustainable tourism in natural reservations, if I write with the name? Is there anything?
Yeah, it's principles of sustainable tourism in protected areas.
Yeah, is Pan Park part of it, or is Metsähallitus part of Pan Park, or which way?
Well, how it works is that we have 9 principles for the sustainable tourism, and now that we cooperate with local partners, this is what we discuss about. If we can kind of go forward with these principles. So basically, we work with the local businesses, and of course our tourist strategies are based on those principles.
In connection with Pan Park. So my question was whether Pan Park applied your basic principles, or you applied the basic principles from Pan Park. In what way, if you have any cooperation?
Is this for local businesses?
No. These principles are national.
Right, so there is no connection.
There's no connection
in
that
was my question.
Other nations in Europe or Pan Park's foundation.
Yeah, thank you. So there is no connection between Pan Park and Metsähallitus. Yeah, but in the development of these basic principles.
Can discuss a bit further about
because we have studied the case. So there are 3 different levels of rules, and as Zoltan says, so Pan Park, because it's operating, for example, in Romania and Bulgaria, So their rules, the list of things what to do to standard is much wider. Maybe it's the size of this room, that you can do whatever almost. Okay. And after that comes this Metsähallitus 9-point list, all the STDS, Sustainable Tourism Development Strategy. And it might be the size of this table, because it's much more tight. And then comes Basecamp Olanga rules, and we are really bad people. And it's the size of this laptop here, because we don't make things. When you come to us, you leave a positive footprint, and that's the most important. But they are not. All these have been done separately, of course. But that's the way it goes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Keijo, in the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that you have your own codes of conducts or codes of practice. Are they public and do you deliver those codes? Are they available somewhere? Can we familiarize?
They are not public. They are in our use, but they might be somewhere in internet because of this Vestas paper. But as I said, they are only for our own use. We'll be sending it to London next March, but anyway, it's not a thing because it's our own list, private list what we are doing. It's a very short paper, maybe 5 pages, not long.
As a small question to Zoltan here, you made a beautiful connection between wilderness and wildlife, and the point of which one includes the other. And I think that's a really key point in talking about wildlife tourism, because wilderness tourism is very much what we talk about in Finland. I've heard a couple of different translations of wildlife tourism now here in Finland, and one of them is obviously riista, which is very, very different from wilderness tourism. And wilderness tourism is sort of what we think of when we talk about wildlife tourism in Finland. So the semantics of the words are extremely important. How much is PAN Foundation actually making this clear in their own guidelines? What are you for? You are for parks, but what is wilderness to you?
We are not really making this clear in our principles and criteria, I think. I mean, I look at Matti and Keijo as well, but I think in our principles and criteria we didn't really make a differentiation or specify this. If you remember, one of the speakers had this sustainability kind of chart with 3 different circles. I can't remember who was. Susan. Yeah, it was you. Sorry. I remember it was a lady. But the way how I see it is like 2 circles and then there is an overlap kind of thing. But as I said, I can only tell my own perception. I'm not really interested in seeing animals when I'm hiking. I'm interested in the solitude, being alone, even if I hike with a big family behind or in front, but still, I don't hear noise. My phone is off. I cannot download my emails, that kind of stuff. And there is one single holiday which my kids always want to go back, and that's in Tatra, where my colleague Vlado has a mountain hut in one of the valley. It's the only private hut in the Tatra, so it's very, very special. Even Roman Abramovich wouldn't really buy a week there, I think, from Vlado. But anyway, we go there, and the first year I was really scared what the hell they will do. No electricity, no running water, no hot water, no gas, nothing. And then they enjoyed it. Every year the kids would like to go back. And I have 4 kids, and they really like it. It's a kind of competition. So, but that's all about, as I said, no phone, no one can disturb, and my mind goes off.
Yeah. Dave, or was it a short comment about that? Yes,
short comment on this, because it's not important what we do, it's important how we make it. that's the, as with Lassi, there are many things has been done according to sustainability. So it's important how we make it. That's one.
Good. David, please.
You can distinguish these two things quite readily. I think, like wildlife tourism, that can occur at a sewage plant, a sewage farm. You can have bird watching. You can have viewing stadiums. You can have engine noises. You can have maybe 1,000 people watching a wildlife situation. So wilderness is quite different to that.
Yeah.
The distinction is clear. Wildlife tourism can occur within wilderness. Not
that's why I said there is an overlap.
Yeah,
there is an overlap, but it like in the middle. So.
But I think you can present them as different concepts.
Yeah. And like I saw yesterday when we stayed in your place last week, I saw this book, Wild Wonders of Europe, from one of the photographers who's always visiting your place, and a collection of big photographers actually. I discussed once with him, Stefan Wittstrand, and he said he's promoting wild wonders which can occur in maybe in the city of Barcelona, but it's still wildlife or whatever. That's
beautiful. Gary,
just a short comment about you said about that the wildlife is said equals to game, but that's not how it is. Game is Riista is actually a game, and that's a different thing. I mean, wildlife is all living creatures, isn't it? But the game is just certain species what you are shooting. That's a Riista. Yes. But then to Zoltan, you said about this hunting and how it does affect to the behavior of wildlife. We use the term shotgun evolution, and that really how it works. You know, birds and animals they learn to be careful. They learn to be afraid of people with gun. So therefore, the most of the wildlife in Finland is very shy, and we can't usually see them, except in base camp, of course. That's a different place. But I would love to see more places in Finland where there is no hunting, and that would be a great place for people to go and actually see the wildlife without that they wouldn't need to be in a hide and we wouldn't need to bait them, but they would be around us, because that does make a big difference to the behavior. There are lots of examples in the world.
That sounds like we're having an interesting discussion. Sorry, but
yeah.
Like we were negotiating with Metsähallitus quite a lot about this. I remember we had once, and I hope it's not, you don't mind, Matti, if I disclose this information, but like we were, Matti told me that Zoltan, there is hunting possible in Ålanka National Park, and I said, Jesus Christ, then it cannot be a pen park, and that was already 5 years after they were verified. And I said, yes, okay, but you shouldn't be worried because no one is practicing it. And I said, then we should ask the local people to voluntarily say, we are not practicing hunting, and then problem is solved. And then Matti said, no, because if you say you cannot hunt, and you shouldn't hunt, then they will be interested in hunting. I don't know how true this is, but I think it demonstrates the scale of the problem in Finland. And we had another discussion on reindeer herding, unsolvable problem currently. And I think it's a shame, personally, sorry to say, first when I came to Finland 2001, and I saw reindeer, that's beautiful, and then I started to see the colors and you know, all the other stuff. Now, it's the most boring thing. It's like seeing sheep or cow and then claiming that this is wilderness. This is not. I mean, if I would like to see domestic animal, then I go to a farm.
They should be in the farm, the reindeer.
But I might be an expert.
We include that in the conclusions of the seminar.
I have to give a speech to our reindeer farmer here.
I am probably the only reindeer breeder in this group today. I have reindeers, and my reindeers do not have plastic collars.
Did you want to help?
No, each of these comments revert back to what Susan was talking about with the extremes of the human perception and the animal perception and fitting in between. So it is a great discussion, but everyone's also, you can be put against that line to, do we continue with the history and culture of Finnish traditions? Do we go with what was naturally there before us? and how do we plot ourselves against those thoughts and processes, and how do we then incorporate all of our different learnings and practices? I think
totally. Yeah, and I mean that's one of the beautiful conclusions in thinking about wilderness. Wilderness does not exist outside culture. Wilderness is created by culture. There is no such thing as nature. Nature is culture. And therefore, the very moment when we start to say that something is natural, we have done a cultural solution, and we have determined that something is natural. And that's cultural.
Wow.